Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And since 2020, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 300,000 fathers around the world. So as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. I'm also a featured content creator on the Fly Nubian Queen YouTube channel, which has now over 581,000 subscribers, and do a live show on that platform on Saturday evenings live at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, called Primetime Saturdays with Aisha and Lala. That's Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key, where they try to make sense of the nonsense going on, making sense of the nonsense going on in America. So that is another thing I do, and I host a whole pile of other things. So want to say good morning. You're watching the Morning Vibe. March 15th. March is half gone. I don't know, like everyone I'm chatting with these days saying, where is the time going? I don't remember February. Other than doing shows in February, I don't know what happened in February. Plus, it was the shortest month, but it was Black History Month. But remember, Black History is every day. So just want to say that. Hopefully, co-host Mr. Ryan Knight will join us halfway through the conversation. If not, no problem. So a little housekeeping before we get started. As always, please subscribe to the Morning Vibe and everything Dr. Vibe does on YouTube. When you subscribe, hit the notification button also so you get notified of upcoming conversations. Also, make sure you follow Dr. Vibe on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. If you want to advertise your business, product, or service on the platform, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe at the.vibe.com. And then also join the Morning Vibe Discord group, where we continue the conversation offline. I post replays of the conversation and things that I feel the Morning Vibe family would find interesting and empowering and encouraging. So this has been another great week. We've got a return family coming back, Paul and Nicole Osbourne. Plus, we have Fatima Gould, and we're going to be talking about Black couples working together in business. Very interesting conversation topic. And for those who don't know, and we'll talk about in just a bit, Paul and Nicole are holding Black Marriage Day in the GTA area on March 24th. But we'll get to that. So just want to make sure that everything's going okay. JJ Mars from Colorado says good morning. Oh, I'm corrected again. Okay, Paul Osbourne and Nicole Osbourne James. All right. So, maybe I should have one of these jars that every time I get it wrong, I put in a dollar or two. Yeah, I think maybe that's what needs to happen. No, and I say, okay, I have to make sure I'm specific because, Ms. Osbourne James, I told her when you see her again, she needs to get a sponsorship with glasses. She is on point with her glasses collection. It is so on point. So just want to check out some other things going on here. Let's see. Well, JJ Mars, hope all is well in Colorado. Always want to get our weather report from Colorado. And just some upcoming things, as I've mentioned, tomorrow night, if you're watching this on the March 15th, Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. And actually, speaking of YouTube, I did something for the first time last night on YouTube. So I know a lot of people do their TikTok and IG lives. For those who may not know, you can now do vertical broadcasting, live or pre-recorded, on YouTube. So last night, I think it was about 10:30, I gave it a whirl. And the platform that I use made it really easy. You can do it from your phone, your tablet also. I did my first YouTube live vertical broadcast. It wasn't that difficult. It's really easy to do. So if people need to know how to do that, if you're part of the Discord group, message me there or email me and I can just give you a link. It's not really difficult to do. So I did a promo for today's conversation last night. So if you're following me on YouTube, it's there. Oh my gosh. JJ Mars, you may need to move to Toronto. You're getting lots of snow in Colorado. Sorry, we don't have any here. We're supposed to maybe get some on Sunday, but we don't got that many inches. We don't have any. Like, someone was asking me yesterday, said, Dr. Vibe, like, have you ever seen a winter where you saw green grass in March, green grass in February? Weird. Really weird. Like, I don't mind. I always measure how bad a winter is, how many times I have to shovel my driveway or use the snowblower. Maybe 3 or 4 times, and it hasn't been that crazy. So that's a fact. But you know what? What we're going to do is we're going to go for a quick break, and then we're going to ring Nicole Osbourne James and Paul Osbourne and Fatima Gould to chat about this subject. So want everyone to keep it locked on the Morning Vibe. We're going to play a little bit of a promo, and then we're going to get into business of the day, talking about Black couples who work together. Because some people think that's impossible. They can't live together. Well, they can live together, and they can also work together. All right, so let's do this now, and let's make it happen. Here we go. Give me a second. Yes, here we go. So that is Black Marriage Day, 24 Carat Marriage. And it is here. And that's some of the wonderful things you're going to experience during it. And check it out. And I'll read a little bit more in just a moment, but I'm also going to go to another ad after this, and we'll get to it big time. And it's really good. And get your tickets. Get your tickets. Going fast. Get it fast. So let's go to this promo, and we'll see you in a minute.
You know, and that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. Now, really, the rappers get all the attention. You know, seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, you know, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Like the twerkers and the, you know, just people that, you know, don't always represent the best of us, you know, the diversity, you know, like people like Dr. Vibe. Like, everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
Really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people. Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. The men who are also doing the same thing. I see Dr. Vibe in here. He's a great brother. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. He's a smart brother in Canada, and we need to follow smart people. So follow Dr. Vibe if you see him in the chat. And Dr. Vibe, say your name in the chat so people can see you. I want you to click on his name, and I want you to go follow him, please, because I want these men and women that are doing the right things to get the support they deserve. Hey, Dr. Vibe, how you doing, brother? Again, like I always do, I got to say everybody should go follow Dr. Vibe. He's got a great show. Dr. Vibe, I know Dr. Vibe's got a kingdom because I see your channel. I see you pouring into that every day. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. Look him up, Dr. Vibe, V-I-B-E. He's a great friend of me and my wife, and I love this guy. Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. You know, a lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. You know, helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
Okay, we are back, and we're going to bring the stars of the show on the stage right now. Nicole and Paul and Fatima. Good morning, family.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How we doing?
Good. Better now. Always.
Well, and it's so nice, Fatima. We got her wish. They're sitting together.
Don't get used to it.
Listen, Fatima, I got a husband on speed dial. Don't let me have to call him.
Oh, that no, don't go there. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Well, family, good to have you this morning. And we want to have a conversation about Black couples working together, working in business together. Who wants to kick that off? Because a lot of people would say, really?
Sure.
Who wants to kick off the convo?
Well, I guess I will say to that end, yeah, I guess a lot of people would say really, but I find that as couples, people are working together, even if they're not necessarily both on the same business. You're working together just by being together. When somebody is in business, the other person has their back and sometimes can get dragged into all kinds of stuff that they may not have necessarily signed up for, but they sign up for just by virtue of being and working together.
True. And I know you know these folks, but I think in terms of seeing a great example in community, the Burks, Rita and Sam Burke, like, when we came back to Toronto
After university,
definitely seeing people like Rita and Sam Burke, who owned Burke's bookstore,
Patrick and Sandra from Ashanti Room,
right? Aitza and Miguel,
different book list.
Yeah, so seeing those different folks out there, and I mean, shout out to them. Really, is encouraging to see that couples could work together. And I'm sure there's challenges and stuff like that, but really just seeing that example and that to me was inspiring for myself.
Fatima, kick it off, your contribution to the conversation today.
I think it works because if everybody knows what they're supposed to do and just stays in their lane, then it works. So with Ron and I create the content, but I can't edit. So he edits the content. He has an artistic eye. So he says, this looks here, good here. Place this picture here, do this, put that here. Move aside, just let me do it myself. And so he beautifies it all, right? By the virtue of being an artist and a wordsmith and a songwriter. So the things that I can't do, I just let him do. And then when do you like this? Do you like that? I'm like, whatever you say looks good because you've got that eye. But if I'm creating it, it's like, nah, move over. Let me take it. So we just stay in our lanes. And then for the business part, the numbers part, like I drive that part. But he has to know it, because if something were to ever happen to me, he needs to know where everything is. So every once in a while we sit down and we go through it, because he needs to know where the accounts are, who gets paid, what the passwords are. Everybody in my family has that, just in case. And I came up with that when I had that bad car accident last year. If I was gone and I wasn't here, what would they have done? The business would be gone. Everything would be up in shambles. But you have it in a place where everybody can find it. So you have to be practical at the same time.
Yeah. Well, sure. I'm glad you're still with us after this bad car accident. I hope you're, if not totally healed, getting to the point where you're totally healed.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So Nicole, you, as usual, you've got my creative mind going all over the place. I consider marriage a business. And for a business to work, you got to work with people. Am I correct in making that comment?
I think so. Because I think when we were on the show the last time, I talked a little bit about how I don't find that romance is necessarily at the heart of marriage, but more the ability to be able to work together. Like I've had romantic feelings for, whoever I've had them for. No offense, Paul, but
oh my
years, ouch. No, I'm just saying, from your childhood into your adulthood, you can have those feelings for all kinds of people. Like, just let Method Man come on the TV. I'm like, that's a romantic feeling, but that's not a working relationship.
Is this where I should mention Jodie Watley coming on the?
Yes, you can do that, right? Okay,
like I did meet her back in the day.
Okay, we'll talk after. about
Yeah,
that.
we'll talk. You, yeah.
Give you her number. Yeah, you have those feelings, but it doesn't necessarily turn into somebody that you can work with. You date who you date, but sooner or later you come to settle on the person that you can work with for a successful relationship. So it's the work of being together can translate into the work of being successful at work, or vice versa. Paul and I came together working successfully at work, not at jobs, but at doing the work that we were doing in community. And the way that we work together is the way that we work together in the relationship. And like Fatima said, you have to have that balance of knowing your lane and you're staying with it. I'm a very impulsive person when it comes to business. Like if I have an idea, by the time he gets home from work, I've already, got the website up, I've got the business name registered, I've got the promo material done. I haven't even talked to him about it. When I used to do publishing back in the day, he'd come home and I'd be like, we're going to Buffalo to go drop off these magazines. So let's get in the car. He's like, okay, we could just drive off into the sunset together. But he brings a more balanced view. Like he'd be like, is there actually gas in the car? I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I should have thought about it. Are we paying for this? Oh, right, that too. I don't know, right? So yeah, working together. If you have somebody that you can work with, then sometimes that person who you can really work with is that person that you can work on the marriage with too.
Nice. Want to just shout out some people here. Wayne Harris says, good morning, Osbourne fam. Right. Ray from the McMillan Group. Good morning, everyone. Good to see another Jody fan in the house. Here we go. Very good. I want to ask Fatima, you work with your partner. Was that something from the beginning, or did that happen after you got together? And what was that process like, especially in the initial stages?
No, we didn't work together from the beginning. Ron and I met when we were 12, and then we were friends for a long time, and then we came back together.
No, see, Nicole. Just hold on a moment, Nicole. This is something a number of people say to me. They say, when you bring people on that I know, they find out things that they didn't even know about them. So I just saw Nicole's face. So continue on, Fatima.
Yeah. 25 years apart, we saw each other on Facebook, and then we got married within a year. So it didn't even start out It's all in the book. Get the book.
Ha! Get
Shameless
that
plug. Shameless plug. Get the book.
There you go.
And so how it came about was that we were lying in bed one morning, and Ron was like, I can't keep doing the job that I'm doing, because he was a butcher and he cuts meat, right? Cuts prosciutto. So he's like, I can't keep doing that all my life because my wrist will go and my feet will go and this part will go. What is it that we can do as a business that would sustain us through those years? And I was like, because I wasn't thinking getting a business at all. I'm like, get a good job, pension benefits, then die. That's how I was raised. That's how I was going. I wasn't thinking entrepreneurship, nothing. But when he put the bug in my head, I was like, oh. So we first wanted to own a cafe. We got some advice like, don't do that because it's not going to be sustainable and you'll be done in 6 months. So we really had to think about what is it that we could do to work together. So he's a musician, so we did that. And then I did the book, and that's how it came about. But we did not start out doing that. He'll tell you it's me, but I'll tell you, I'll have to really bring him back. Remember the day we laid in bed and you said, we need to do something else. We need to own a business. So that's how it came about.
Oh, love that story. Love it.
Good stuff. Just want to shout out some other people. Jerry Mead, what's going on? And Pauline Smiley, what's going on? You're watching live. Appreciate it. And just want to tell people, this is all around Black Marriage Day that's happening Sunday, March 24th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Laz Authentic Center, 48 Main Street North in Markham, Ontario. Tickets available at bit.ly/BlackMary24. And also you can email nazacom@gmail.com. So we're having this and I'm enjoying the conversation. So how has working together progressed for you, Fatima, along the years? Because was it easy at the beginning, and compare it now to when it first started?
Yeah, it's been basically the same because I said we pick our lanes. Ron is the creative. We're not going to have any doubt about that. He's the editor. We're not having any doubt about that. I'm not crossing over to say, let me edit this, let me create a cover. I'm not doing all that. I'm not saying, let me create some music to go with our YouTube channel. I'm not doing any of that. So, and he recognizes that he's not a people person. Like, I found out that this was a thing from Christopher and somebody else. Like, men, when they go in a group of people, they talk to one person, they expend all their energy on that one person, and then they're ready to go home. I'm like, that can't be a thing in life. But they say, yeah, that's actually a thing. And Christopher's like, I just go home, like, I'm done. And then when somebody else did, he goes, I'm leaving. I'm like, we just started the conversation. He goes, so Ron is that person. He's going to talk to one person. Then he's like, Fatima, I got to go. But I'm like, we need to network. So I network. He sits in the corner, has the one conversation, and we're good. So we stay in our lane, and we've always stayed in our lane. So there's no fighting, there's no bickering. Even when I screwed up and I hired somebody we shouldn't have hired, spent a lot of money, he doesn't say he shouldn't have done that. He's never said, blah, 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 blah. He's never done that. He's always said to me with his encouragement, this is your story. This is how you build your story about being in business. And then that story is going to help you because people are drawn to your story. So I have to always remember through the ups and the downs that this is the story of our life creating a business. So he's very practical like that.
I love how he says this is a story. Marriage is a story. It's a never-ending story. So that's really, really good. Nicole, Paul, and Nicole, you see I've changed the name. You see. Okay, all right. I just want to make sure your notes that. What would you like to add on what Fatima shared with us already? Because you two work together a number of things. Can you bring in your lens and perspective into that conversation that she's added on to?
Yeah. So I think there's, more than change, there's an evolution, I would say, for us in terms of when we first started and where we currently are. One of the things is, obviously, when we first got together, we didn't have children, right? So having children shifted a lot of the let's go to Buffalo in the middle of the night. Let's make some financial decisions that, hey.
Oh, hold on. Did you do that before the children?
Go yeah. Travel, yes. We did a lot of that spontaneous kind of piece.
I remember one night after we had our first child where we realized that part of our lives was effectively over. Somebody called and said, EPMD is performing downtown at whatever place it was on Spadina. And we were like, oh my gosh, let's go. Like, we were in the car and we were like, let's go. And then I was about to start the car. And then when I went to check my blind spot, I noticed the car seat. We were like, oh yeah, like we've got him now. Like, literally for 5 minutes we sat there like, could we leave
the irony, the him is now a rapper.
Yeah.
So he stopped us from going to the rap concert, and now he's a rapper. What's going on with that? You put something, in the air.
I'm like, I never got to see EPMD because of you, right? Like that's people guilt their kids about other stuff. I guilt them over the rappers that I had to miss because of their existence. Like, what do you mean you're not going to clean your room? Do you understand that I had to miss seeing EPMD because of you?
Oh my God. That's next level, Nicole.
So having the children kind of, made us
responsible,
more mindful, right? Even mindful around, what do we want to do in business? How do we want to do it, in terms of that, but also, and I think Fatima, you kind of hinted at this earlier around building a legacy, right? Being mindful. So anything that we do now in terms of, like business and community, what kind of legacy are we building for our children and our children's children? And doing things in that mindset, as opposed to, hey, we're just going to do it, right? So I feel good about, them inheriting a particular legacy when it comes to being in community, so being
Mhm.
very involved in community themselves now, but
Mhm.
also in terms of business, because even though I didn't see this similar to yourself, Fatima, I just saw, for my parents, work, pension, retire, die, right? Both my sons, my older sons, are both entrepreneurial. They both have their own business, which I never saw that coming,
Wow.
right? Because most of our lives, we've been just working with the 9 to 5 piece. But one has his music business, the next one has their fashion business. But definitely that's something I didn't see coming. But stepping back, I guess the examples that they've been seeing, I could see why they went in that direction. But yeah, I mean, the children shifted it a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, like I'm saying, they inspire us to want to do more and be better in what we're doing.
And I will say that in terms of even the example of the 9 to 5 job, that I feel like a lot of our generation's parents were like, that's all you do. You go to school, you get education, then you get a good job and you work it for the next 40 years, then you retire and die. Um, I think my mother definitely turned that on its head, because she was about my age, the age that I am now, when she was a teacher with a teacher, good money, good pension, and she said, like Ron said, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is not good for me. This is not where my passion lies. This is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And she gave it all up in her 50s and she started her own business. And I know at the time I was like, are you crazy? What are you talking about? Like, you're already old. That's what I thought at the time. You're already old. What do you mean you want to do something else with your life? Like, your life is raising me and you know stability and all of that stuff. But it's important for us to see that there are other ways that you can exist and move forward with your life. My mom didn't have a partner, so I think that made the journey more difficult for her in terms of business, but she still knew it was something that she wanted to do, something that she had to do, that it was her calling. So I'm glad to be able to be at this stage of my life to be like, yeah, I want to follow my passions, but I have a lot more support.
Excellent. Good stuff. Some comments here. Jerry Mead loved your EPMD story. And Nicole, we thought it was
I know he
classic.
felt that. He felt my pain.
Yes. And Milan Group Ray says Fatima made a profound point there. Knowing your mate is so important. Understanding their flow of their energy. Absolutely key. Also, Opal Inspired. Good morning, Opal Inspired. Hope everyone follows her on the YouTube channel and subscribes. Fitness IQ Cam says, morning, morning, morning. So, question from Mr. Wayne Harris says, question for both couples. Do you have a safe word to avoid disagreements? Does does someone have to scream oxtail to stop a pending fight?
Fatima, you could go first, because he mentioned about the oxtail. Since Ron was a book, he knows something about
We can't
oxtail.
even afford to scream oxtail. It's so expensive.
Exactly.
We do not have a safe word. The fight just goes on till they're done, or I win.
Wow.
Or you win. You see
He's
that?
not here so I can say that.
That's
Till
it.
we're
That's
done
it.
or I win. No,
Well, he
that,
recognizes that there's no.
there's no. But the thing is, people would say it has to be Fatima that wins out every time, but it's not. Like Ron is very quiet. You both have met Ron. He's very quiet. Those are the ones you gotta watch out for, because when they
Yes.
throw a 1-2 punch, you're just done. And enough times I have to come back and say, all right, I have to eat some crow now, suck some salt. You were right about this one. You were right about that one. And I think recognizing and knowing that you were wrong and going to the other person and saying, you know what, you were right about this. And then he'd say, but you had a point about that. And I think that's where we've come to the part where there's no need of a safe word. We know that it's somebody has something that they want to say and the other person's just not listening. And then when you stop the noise in your head and you start to listen, you'll see the validity of both persons' points. So we don't have a safe word, no. But it's evolved over the years to come to the part where I can come back and say, okay, yeah, you're right.
And the thing with it, we're talking about business itself and couples, right? Definitely one of the top things that couples argue about is money, right? So I think that definitely we're still evolving. We're still
Yeah.
working on that piece, because that sometimes is a pain point for us around, you know, money, you know, in terms of that. Because Nicole was saying, like, you know, earlier in the business, she was like, yo, let's just go, da 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 da, and so and so. But for me, I'm more that way sometimes with money. I'm like, let's just do it, right? Because there's a balance now for me personally around, you know, living out my passion and then being financially responsible. Sometimes I gotta weigh it and say, what makes more sense, right?
But
Because I would say, like, my parents, for example, like, they were, you know, they've been together forever. You know, and I want to give a shout out to my parents for that. Forever. But one of the things I recognize is they did sacrifice a lot, you know, in terms of they didn't go on vacations, you know, they were worked all the time, you know, they were in an era where, you know, that was the most important thing. And of course, you know, there was 7 of us, right? So you could see that their financial, you know, burden, for lack of better words, would have been greater than, you know, just the average person out there. So, but the lesson that I learned is, you know, there wasn't a lot of room for um, joy and spending on things that, you know, probably would have enriched their lives more, and our lives as well. And, you know, no criticism. I had the best childhood, still have a great parents. But the lesson that I'm learning, I'm trying to pass on also to my children, is that, you know, sometimes you have to kind of step out on faith and treat yourself good. Be good to yourself. Don't be mean to yourself. And that's something my mother says, oh, you know, like, don't be mean to yourself. Right. And I think there's a lot of learning and unlearning for us, especially, you know, as Black people, even as Black couples, around, you know, do we deserve this joy? You know, should we just, hey, get up, let's just go to the spa, because we need that self-care, right? As somebody who works in the field of, you know, working with the young people, a lot of social work as well, you know, I see the challenges in our community around, you know, the mental health and lack of self-care. And, you know, I was just speaking to a couple of friends the last couple of weeks, and it seems that, you know, being on this plantation / work, slowly killing people, you know? They don't want to get up in the morning to go to work, right? Because of the anxiety. They're at work and they're experiencing, you know, the negativity, the mental health, you know, I mean, the anti-Black racism. They come home and they're taking that energy to their family, to themselves, and then they can't sleep at night, right? Because they're anticipating the cycle of the day, right? So coming back to it, sometimes you got to make those sacrifices to make yourself happy. It's not easy. You know, I came off the plantation, and I keep saying I'm not fully off the plantation, right? Because sometimes you may have to go back. But I think we just all of us need to examine, you know, our what's best for us, right? So yeah, that's something I just wanted to go. I don't know if it was a rant, but it really was.
No. It's all good. I think you know, marriage is a business. Relationships are a business, and I fully believe, you know, there are no courses out there for the well, there are, but not many people take them, about getting married or best practices. People just jump into it and then talk about, especially in the days we live in now, more people going entrepreneurial. That can explode a couple. I don't care what background you are.
Sure.
Well, yeah, we're talking our African people here, especially with us, because economically we're on the lower end of the totem pole. And those challenges, and you say plantation, all those sort of things, and trauma, and then what each individual brings from their past, all those things, along with a business where sometimes there cannot be guaranteed income. It's a huge multiplier. It's a very, very much a huge multiplier. Fitzim, I want to come back to you. How have you kept it going?
That's a good one. I also wanted to comment on what Paul was saying just now. We've never had an argument about money, because we never had an argument about money, because when we started out, and we would say everything is too expensive. Everything is too expensive. It's the energy that we bring to the word, right? So we're like, okay, every time we say everything's too expensive, $2 goes in a jar, because we need to stop the flow of energy coming in, right? So that $2 was always like $100 and something date night. Boom. So then we got a handle on saying too expensive. So there goes date night, because there was no more date night money, because nobody's saying it was expensive. Go figure, right? But then the Ron always says to me, do you got that money for that? And I'm like, no. I said, well, then I guess we're not getting it. And then he just walks away and he's done. So then I'm left with, I really don't have the money for that. Where are you going to get the money for that? And then, because he's always saying, when you take on this expense and we have the same amount of money coming in, where are you going to get the money for it? Well, there is no money. If I said, I guess you're not getting that either. So then I'm left with, go out there and find where can I get the money for it. And if I'm having the money for it, then he doesn't have to say to me, you got the money for that? And what was your question?
Ron is my brother.
How do you keep it going? How do you keep it going?
My brother. I love this man. I love him.
But that's some of the things of how do we keep it going. It's always being grounded in the practicality and the reality of things and going with the what so. What is the facts about the situation? X amount of money in the bank, and you want to buy something for $3,000, but we only got $50. Fatima, go look at the bank. You got the money. Is the money coming in the next 2 weeks? No, no, it's not coming. When is it coming in? I don't know. Well, then you're done. And then he just walks away. He just walks away. So how else can you keep it going when you always have somebody is giving you those checks and balances and is not going ever on emotion, but on the facts of things? And my kids are the same way. I want this, I want that. Oh. You got that kind of money? You got that money? No. It's like when we bought the Honda, I wanted an automatic. Ron said stick is cheaper. They both, my son and him, my daughter and him looks at me. You got automatic money? No. Well, I guess we're getting a stick. And that's how we get a stick card. You got automatic money.
You got automatic money.
Automatic money.
Right.
Do you got automatic money? And that's what he says all the time. Let's go to dinner. You got dinner money? No. You want to buy a new dress? You got new dress money? No. How you getting the new dress? How you paying for the new? Always the what's. And then the thing about it, he just walks away like, hello. I'm still talking. I'm still reasoning it out. He goes, there's no reason. Go look at the account. You don't got it. We're done.
I love this man. I love it.
No, Fatima, I know you've got to leave soon, so I'm focusing my energy right on you. How do you as a couple separate work and personal relationship with each other?
Ooh, good question.
Once in a while I ask a good one. You know.
that I don't know how. That's a good one because Ron being a musician and kickstarting his publishing business with publishing the music and producing people, like he's at that 24/7, right? And then I'm always out hustling 24/7 because I need that money to do the things that I need to do. So I need to make it coming in. And I think we have to be intentional and purposeful because I would say to him, okay, the Black Marriage is coming up. Right. And I bring it to him. Right. I bring him this. I said, this is coming up. Now, I want you to come with me, but you got to realize you're not working on anything music that day. Can you do what you need to do ahead of time so we can go and I don't have to hear it? And then you want to go home after one conversation. Okay, what's the food going to be like? So he asks a whole heap of other questions before he even gets there. So it's going to each other and asking it. So when we want to do something, like, what if we're doing X, then we're not doing Y? And are you okay with not doing Y if we're doing it? So is it going to bring it? Are we selling books? Are we meeting people? Are we doing this? Yes. Okay, then I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to go here to support the business. That's how he's coming and we're evolving in that area. When we do the two, we have to show if you're doing X and you're not doing Y, how is it benefiting us or how is it benefiting the business? And so this weekend, we're going to go to dinner. I want to take you to dinner. You're not doing X. You're not doing. It's food. Okay, we're done. We're good.
It's food.
I want to point out that earlier, I forgot I wanted to address that too. Fatima said, men are like this. They just go and they have one conversation and they're ready to go home. That is not man. That is just who it is. Because in this relationship, you and Paul is Fatima. Like Paul will go someplace and he will network the entire room. He will talk to everybody. Where am I? I'm standing at the door with the kids. I'm one of the kids. We're just like, when will this man ever stop talking so that we can go? Kids are always like, our parents talk too much. I'm with them. Where's daddy? Like a kid in my snowsuit, hot, waiting at the door. I'm waiting for him to stop talking so
I
that
would never known that. I would have thought it was you talking and Paul not doing. Yes,
No.
because you just have that outgoing personality to me. That's interesting.
right. But you notice most of the time if we're talking, I'm just talking to you. And then when I'm finished talking to you, I'm like, oh, good, there's Fatima. There's somebody I know. I'm going straight to you and I'm going to talk to you. And then when we're finished, I'm like, let's go. You know?
Wow.
Wow.
So it's not a.
Hey, well, now see, Fatima, you found out something that you didn't know before. So it's equal now. There you go.
Well, it's a good thing Paul's the networker because I've looped you guys into so many things because he's a networker. So there you go.
See, it's good. It's good for business. You got to have one people person, and then you got to have one editor, graphic designer, beautifier. You got this and that money who just wants to go home right here.
Represent. All right. Jerry
Honestly,
Mead is loving the conversation. He also says seeing the Sankofas. And Hayton Morrison says parents who came in the 60s, who came in the 60s and 70s, come to better life for their families. That was their joy and focus.
Yeah, that's your parents. Yeah,
absolutely. Fatima, I know you have to go in a few moments, so I want you to have what are some suggestions? You've dropped some knowledge bombs already, but some suggestions for those couples who are thinking about working together in business and also are working together in business before we let you go. And also, Wayne Harris had a message here saying, where's your contact information? He said, where is your contact information?
All right. You can find me at info@fatimagould.com.
There you go.
Or my website, www.greencurtain.org.
There you go.
I'm sure you're going to put it up, right?
Yes.
Dr. Vibe? Okay, great. So my tips for couples who want to work together or are working together is that one. That's a big cup.
As you're about to spill the tea.
Right? Gotta bring out my Barbados cup. Here you go. Love it. We need our own show, man. The four of us. It's gonna be hilarious.
I'm looking around for my Jamaican flag. I don't know where it is. It'll have to be imaginary. Sorry, go ahead.
You're hilarious. So my thing is stay in your lane. Like everybody needs to stay in your lane. And if you're thinking about it like a business, the marketing department's the marketing department, the finance is the finance department. The socialization department is the socializing department. The networking department is the networking department. Pick a department, pick a lane, stay in your lane. But the best part of it, cross-train. Make sure everybody knows what the other person is doing. Because if that person goes away, then the business goes away. And then make sure, Anthony Gordon has always said this to me, succession planning. What is your succession planning if somebody is no longer there? You split up, somebody passes away. What's the succession planning for your business? Because he always mentions G98.7. So when that gentleman passed away, you know what happened? It was done because he said there was no succession planning. So stay in your lane, have a succession plan. You got money for a manual. If you don't got the money, don't do it. Find out where you're going to get the money, and then there you go.
You showed a book. Can we see that book again? What's it called?
Over the Wall.
And what's it about?
So that's my memoirs. And so that's one of the things that I talk about that I've published. So this book is about my life. And a lot of West Indians whose parents, like you were saying, Paul, their parents come from the West Indies to Canada, England, or the United States, and they leave their kids behind, or they have kids here and they sent their kids back. I was one who was born here, but sent back to live with my grandmother till I was 8. Then when I came here, what was it like for me to get to know my mother, who I'd only seen once, get to deal with the racism, the microaggressions, kids calling me names, telling me to go back home, spitting in my face, and all that. How does that 8-year-old deal with that? Then I come into my teenage years and I have an identity crisis and I want to go back to Barbados. But my mother's never sending me back. So how did I manage to get over the wall of that? Then the tumultuous relationship with my kid's dad, because I knew him when I was 14. And both of us facing the same thing with the parents and the coming here, but didn't know how to work it out or talk to each other.
Mhm.
Then meeting, marrying Ron, and then we're together now for 12 years. So that's what the book is about. It chronicles my whole entire life.
That book needs a movie.
That book, hello, let's put it out there.
Okay.
That book needs to be a Netflix series.
There you go.
We're doing
Well,
it.
I know before you go Netflix, can I get a commitment come from you to come back on the show and we can talk about the book and your story?
100%.
All right.
Can.
Well, look,
Because there's so many things that nuances and that affects all of our lives, right? We know people, it's our aunties, it's our brothers, it's our sisters, and the relationship either never gets repaired or the person dies, and then then you're in a different state and you're passing on that kind of generational trauma. So it's a good conversation. Yeah, I'd love to come back.
We got to get Lupita to star in the movie. Yeah.
Okay, so want to say thank you so much to you, Ron, and the family. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on the show. Have a great day.
Have a great day, guys. Bye. Thank you, Paul and Nicole. See you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye. And thanks for all your comments on when they were on last time. Really appreciate that. Take care.
All right.
Wow, that was wonderful.
Yeah,
That
she's
was-
awesome.
She is. Wow, what a story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What a
It struck
story.
me that she met her husband when he was 12. I think about all the guys that I knew when I was 12. I would not have thought there was husband material there. You just never know. Like, don't overlook those 12-year-olds when you're a kid, because you just never know that sometimes your future partner is on the playground. You just don't know.
Absolutely, because I'm counting more and more people say, "Oh, well, we were when we were really young." Like I know a couple that met in university. They're still together. They married at such a, and I'm hearing more and more of that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's that conversation. I want to ask both of you, how many Black couples do you know that, we talked about the Burks and a few other couples, but do you see any others, especially when it comes to younger Black couples working together? Are you seeing any of that?
Yeah. I think we are. And I'm thinking though, what do you mean by a younger
Well,
couple now? Because
okay.
We used to be a younger couple.
Okay. Let me roll it back. Do you see an increase of Black couples working together?
It's hard to say, I think there's a general shift around being entrepreneurial overall,
Right.
Especially amongst younger people. But I don't see it. I don't think I see it as much in community from what I'm observing. Like, usually it's one person that's doing the business, and I guess the other person is kind of supporting in the back. In fact, most of the entrepreneurs that I see are women.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like highly I'm seeing that. And then usually the husband was either there to drop off the supplies and then come back after the event. So, I don't see it as much, but it would be interesting to see what happens like before the event, how they're working together, right? Maybe that person's doing the finances of the creation of certain things. But yeah, more time I don't see a lot of brothers with their partners involved, but I do encourage it.
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like the pendulum is swinging, in a different direction, but the dynamic is the same. In the 90s, I was always joking about how you had all of these men that were in business because, it was a time where a lot of men were like, I'm not working for the man. That's the kind of people that we had around us. Like, I'm not working for the man. So he'd be out there, selling his, selling shea butters, selling incense, selling these African-centered things. But he also had a partner, and his partner had a job, So the wife had a job and the husband had a business, but yet they still kept it together, and then we would see like more outward shows of unity, like the corn soup couple that was like for years, we saw them selling corn soup at community events, and then they opened a restaurant. They opened the One Love restaurant, so there were different examples. Now I see, like Paul said, there's more women that we see that are in business, but they have partners that are helping to carry the heavy things up to the table, helping with the setup. We see couples where they're both working there, but they're doing different things. Like I was thinking about maybe somebody like Lisa and Medin, you know, they'll be running the table. One of them is drumming, one of them is with the children, and the whole family is involved. So there's many different ways that we see you know, Black couples and families in business, but they're there. We definitely see them there, but sometimes the work they did was before they got to the event.
Right.
Sometimes it's behind the scenes. We see Fatima, Ron is making the cover of the book, but you don't see him, but he's there.
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's very interesting. There's a lot of thoughts going on in my mind. You know, they would be great to just talk about it to a group of couples, just in general.
Right.
And the layer about working together. And I agree that in a lot of situations, it's one of the couple is working full time. The other one is entrepreneur. And there's a whole conversation piece in that, because that, I'm sure at times can be very challenging. Like, yes, two working together, I think that has more opportunity than one versus, because sometimes when that one person's working full time and the other person's an entrepreneur and that money isn't coming in regularly, how do you, you know, walk together with that compared to when you're both entrepreneurs, you're both in the same lane?
Yeah. I think sometimes there's a balance, though. I think, as Fatima was alluding to, you know, she used the phrase "stay in your lane," but not everybody's entrepreneurial. Some people want to do the 9 to 5. You know, they need that regular routine, and they like that. So I think if there's a balance and understanding within the relationship, okay, I'm going to honor Nicole's strengths and what she likes, and she's going to do the same for me. I think that's kind of, you know, where we are. And I would say in my own personal journey, I wouldn't say that I wanted to start a business, but certain things made sense. You know, I feel that, you know, particular at my age and stage, I encourage a lot of other people, teach what you know, right? So many, I will say again, you know, someone who's coming up, I definitely saw the benefit of elders passing on the wisdom and the lessons, right? Good, bad, and ugly. But I think there's a gap around there, especially for young people who want to get into business or young couples that want to get into business. I think the first thing to do is if you can identify, you know, someone who's done it before.
Absolutely.
Someone who's done it before, even if it's not the same thing, you know, like, but they've done it in business, or their couples navigating the challenges and successes of being in business together. Connect with folks, right? Because there's not enough of that knowledge that's being passed down.
And you have to look for it too. I think that's the thing. Like you said, there's not necessarily a workshop where they're like, this is the topic, how to work together as couples in business. There's not always going to be a workshop. The workshops are the lives of the people that you see in front of you. You know, when Paul and I were just dating, I was always joking about how one day I wanted to be like, you know, Ruby Dee and Ozzie Davis. I say, because you would never know as a young person at that time what they were famous for. Sometimes it seemed like they were famous just for being married. And I thought that's got to be great. You're famous for being an old married couple and everybody just wants to know how you did it. That was my goal. But we saw those examples all around us. Like when we saw Mr. and Mrs. Burke, we saw them every Saturday. I'd go there to be dropping off magazines when we weren't trying to run off to Buffalo in the middle of the night. We'd go there. You'd go to see Mr. and Mrs. Burke, and then you'd go to a different book list, and then you'd go upstairs and you'd see Patrick and Sandra at the Ashanti Room, all at the corner of Bathurst and Bloor in what they now call the Blackhurst area.
Yes.
We'd be there every weekend just vibing, but at the same time learning. You know, we'd go to Hyroon Bakery. We'd see my aunt and uncle there running the bakery together. And that, again, is a workshop that we saw when just trying to buy bread. You know, there are couples on my street who I grew up with who, you know, looked out for us. We saw how they vibed, how they rolled together. So these workshops are all around us. So those are your goals. If you know that you've got #couple goals, are you spending time observing and talking to and being around the couples who are your goals.
But I also, just to add to that, I also believe in being intentional, right? And a lot of the work that I've done, Dr. Vibe, is around rites of passage. And with your rites of passage, one of the stages is eldership, right? But so who's showing us how to step into our eldership? Another stage is becoming an adult, and sometimes that means marriage, right? So I'd love to see a circle out there of our elders that folks can go to. Right? I'm not giving work to the elders, but I'm saying it'd be great to know, hey, maybe it is a once a year you can sit with the Burks.
Yeah, I think there's certainly importance there, and that needs to be documented because they're the time they have with us, they're probably going to be transitioning before we do.
Yeah.
And I think that's a must, because going back to what Nicole said, we have living workshops. We don't need to have a special event. This, for a lot of people, it's a day-to-day thing. They're there. All you have to do is go to them.
Yeah. It's true.
It's really important. So I thought Fatima had left us, but she's still here. Hashtag couples goals. Hashtag eldership.
Yeah.
That is a show. I think it's more than a show. I think it's actually a documentary, to be honest. It's not what it has to be something that is documented so it can live and breathe. As Fatima said, succession planning, like almost like a digital footprint.
So I'm gonna give the plug to Tugs and Sons out there. Yo,
Tugs and Sons, yeah.
Yo, listen, that's a documentary for you guys to make.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all in to participate in that.
All right, there you go.
I'm all up for this.
I think about even some of the couples that we've missed, but there's still so much legacy for them to learn from. Like, look at Third World Books. That's a couple business story.
Mm-hmm.
That's a legacy of Toronto story, but we look at it from the perspective of, it was a great bookstore, but wouldn't it have been amazing to know more about the relationship that birthed and supported? Like, that is the cornerstone of community because of a marriage that was there, marriage that made it happen. These are important stories that we need to be sharing. And that's part of what Black Marriage Day is about. The people that we've sat with.
Nice segue. What?
See,
your media good. The segue so sweet.
She got the education in mass comm.
But really, that's part of it. That is what I've really gotten out of this event over the years, from the days when Desianne and Ron were organizing it to the succession planning. You see, when now we're organizing it, it's really just to sit and learn and to immerse yourself with other couples, because I think media shows us that being married is the end goal. Like, you get the ring, you put a ring on it, and that's over. Cinderella got the prince and it's over. But marriage is where the real work begins, and we need support. We need lessons. We need information about how to be married. It doesn't end here. It's not the end goal, right? So Black Marriage Day gives us an opportunity to be in the company of other couples and see the things that they're working through, and take the knowledge and the nuggets from them, and then go home and be like, yeah, I can use these strategies. Or wasn't that funny that they were in the same position that we were in? This is what we did. What did you do? That's what we do.
Absolutely. So notes here. Of course, Fatima says, of course she's still here. And she also says Janelle and Kwame.
Yes.
And this is one of the wonderful things, teaching. Look at this, Jeremy. Just Google Ruby and Ozzy, and I'm learning for the first time that those two beefing and do the right thing were married in real life. Wow. Just watched it with my nephew 3 weeks ago. Weeks ago. Yes, they were looked as, they were the Jay-Z and Beyonce long before they were even born.
Right. True.
And I'll just put out front, more respected. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Oh, and remember they were married in Jungle Fever too.
Yes, yes,
That classic scene with Gator, like from
absolutely.
like they were from the heart. They were like the crown jewel. Like that's some 24 karat marriage right there.
Yeah, soul.
Yeah, 100%.
Soul. When I think of those two, soul. Ray says the importance of being around people you wish to be like is important. As immigrants with our fragmented families here in our new country, it could be difficult at times. Many of us have much to share. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, big time. Yeah, it's very interesting to see how work life, relationship life is even more intertwined these days. And like I said, Black couples who work together, who are working together, there's a book right there. There's a series right there.
There you go. Listen, you heard it first on Dr. Vibe Show. Well, don't steal the idea. We're recording this, so if you try to take it.
Well, but it's so important because Boyce Watkins has a book called Financial Lovemaking 101.
Woo, that sounds spicy. That like where you throw the money on the bed and you roll around in it together? Like,
why? You know what? I just put myself in. I just opened.
Yeah, we got loonies up here.
We can't be. Yeah, no. Loonies and cuties be ended up in places they should not be.
Oh my gosh, Jerry's having a good time with you, Nicole. He's having a good
Shout out to Jerry. How you doing?
All
Jerry?
right. So as your event, look at this. Fatima, different movie, Nicole.
Hashtag OnlyFans.
Oh, okay. All right. Now let's steer the conversation. Yeah, let's get it back in. Let's get out of that lane, please, and thank you. Yeah, let's stay in our lane. As your event gets closer, what's the excitement compared to when you were thinking about it to now when you're a few days away from it?
Yeah, really the momentum and the excitement is coming from folks actually kind of like signing up and people talking about how important it is to them, to attend. I think that really is, as we get closer to the event, it's really exciting to know that. And there are different couples that we don't know, right? I want to give a shout out, as we mentioned, I want to give a shout out to my brother Femi and his wife, because they weren't able to come to the event, but they saw, the importance of it, that they actually purchased a ticket and they want us to give it to, a family or a couple that may be in financial need. So even seeing people, things like that you don't expect, see people kind of step out and say, hey, I think this is important that, someone else can go, even if I can't go myself. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited about, the feedback we've been getting, right? Even for those who can attend and they've watched the broadcast from last time, the comments, people reaching out, they want to know more. And I think it aligns with the vision that this is not a one-time event.
Good.
Right? But it's something that we constantly need in terms of the interaction and the engagement in our community. So it's making me think about what next, even though we haven't done it as yet.
Yeah, what next? But
what next, right? Because a lot of folks, I can't make it, but if what's happening next. So it's making me think about that. So I'm excited about the process.
I have some ideas, but I'm not going to share them here.
All right, we'll do it offline.
Okay. Go ahead, Nicole. You were going to say something. I saw that head too.
I was going to say I'm excited about the people that are coming to it and the people that are supporting it. From the time that we started working on it this year, it really seemed like I put it in the headspace of it's a really good meal, and it's kind of like the time from beginning to end is cooking the meal, and every new couple that buys a ticket or every new sponsor that comes on board is like sprinkling a little extra seasoning into the meal. Mm-hmm. So when I see the people that, have bought their tickets, I'm like, ooh, like if it's somebody that I know, I'm like, oh, look, like Janelle and Kwame are coming. Man, that's going to add this to the meal. Like that's going to add a good flavor. And then you have a couple that we don't know. And we're like, I wonder what kind of flavor they're going to bring to the meal. Like that's going to be a surprise because it's exciting to have somebody that's new. You know, Fatima and her husband are coming. I'm like, man, I can't wait to see Ron. I know Ron.
Yes, Ron. I think Ron should be the guest to honor after hearing about him today. Like
him, you know, and then we have Ian and Pearl, one of our sponsors, Zenopia. I'm like, man, you know, like they're a whole vibe on their own. Like they're funny, they're fun. I'm like, I can't wait to see them too. So just to see how people can get around a table and then just bring some things of themselves that bring something else out in other people. That's what I want. Yeah. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
And just to add to that, just so that people know who are thinking about coming, it's going to be organic. You know, we don't have to script a conversation with each other. You know what I mean? And I'll take an example from Dr. Vibe. He didn't send us a group of questions, right?
To study.
Right, to study. We want to be organic. We want to be natural. So don't come expecting, it's going to be performances all night and, very stiff. It's going to be humorous. It's going to be nice. It's going to be connecting because that's what it's about. Right.
It's a naturally occurring comedy show. It just happens.
And sometimes marriage is a comedy. It is.
It's a comedy. And
that's my first book. Marriage is a comedy. So there you go.
You heard it out there. So again,
Green Curtain Publishing. Remember that. I'm plugging it out. Marriage is a comedy.
So again, I've put up the details periodically during this conversation on screen. And also I've sent them out on all platforms, the information there. When you go to the website, this is what you'll see, the cost, the menu, etc. I think it's going to be, I know it's not going to be the first and only. It better not be. I think we got some more comments. Fatima hasn't left yet. She leaves a conversation, but she's just going at it. She goes, "We need a show, play something." She goes, "I'm excited." And then she goes, "One conversation and Ron is going home." LOL.
That conversation better be with me, right? And then Ron and I will both be like, "Okay, that's it. We're going."
Oh, she goes, I heard you. She goes, "That's fantastic." As we start to wind it down, how important is Black marriage to the Black future?
Yeah, wow. It's a hard question to answer because, Black marriage is evolving in so many ways, right? So it's, as I said, it's not the traditional just, you meet somebody, you get married and have a family, and there's not much outside of that than just maintaining that. I think that, for me though, personally, I think Black marriage is very important to the Black future, because I always take it in the context that, it creates a sense of stability. It's a safe matrix. It's a place to raise families, for folks to get to better interact and know each other, to do some of that repairing and that reconnecting, because we're so fractured in this society, and many things kind of drive us. But I think that really it's like the more Black marriages that we have, however you want to define that, but the more coupling and the marriage of bringing people together, and those people connecting, I think that's the foundation to building community, right? So not just you, like say Nicole and I, but connecting with the Fatimas and the Rons, the Kwame and Janelle and other folks, and us coming together and start building community, because now we're not just thinking about two people, we're thinking about many people, we're thinking about children, we're talking about legacy, some intergenerational pieces. So I think, I would say if I had to put it on a scale, definitely at least an 8 out of 10 of levels of importance for me in terms of not just family building, but community building.
I think that's a question that if you had asked it at the beginning of the show, I think it would have just shaped the whole thing for the rest of the show, because that's like a question that, depending on how you answer it, you could like blow up another whole 2 hours of worth of.
That's why you're coming back, by the way. So just realize that.
I think that Black marriage is important, and it's increasing in its importance, because the kind of world that we're living in, and maybe it was always like this, but I feel like the kind of world that we're living in is one that requires a lot more support. Like it is very hard to go it completely alone, right? And when I say alone, I'm not talking about single. I'm not talking about like just not being in a relationship, because even if you're single, you can still be married to the community. You can still be married to the friendships that support you. Everybody plays a part together. You know, we need healthy self, family, community, world, and marriage is a part of that when you form a partnership with another person. But what I appreciate about conversations about Black marriage is that it has challenged me, and it challenges us all the time, because every year we have this, people say, well, can I come? We never had a marriage, like we never had a wedding. And I'm like, it's Black Marriage Day. It's not Black Wedding Day. So it's not for us to tell you, oh, did you have a wedding? That's whether you can come or not. No, Black Marriage Day is about the commitment. You know, people say, well, is it between the commitment between a man and a woman? I say it's about the commitment, right? Of two partners. They could be two partners of the same gender. They could be two partners of different genders. They could be two partners of any gender. And then next year, I know we're already going to be dealing with some people be like, well, I have multiple partners. Are we married? I'm like, let's talk about it. Let us talk about it, because there's been more than enough times when I have said to him, like, man, you should have had two wives. At least I could have had somebody to help me with all these kids. But they had two husbands. Method Man, are you still out there? Like, come on. We joke about it. But for some of us, this is the realities of the families that we've come from and the cultures that we've come from. So we're all here to learn that not everybody's marriage is going to look like our marriage, but if it's healthy and it's supportive and there's no exploitation, and there, or at least we're working towards that, building, these are the kind of things that we want to talk about, we want to be about. So Black marriage is something that's constantly evolving, and we're evolving right along with it.
There you go.
Yeah, that is wonderful, because I was going to ask you about the definition of marriage, but got it right from you. So you answered it wonderful. You're reading my alleged mind. Fatima loves my question. Go, wow, that is deep. Well, yes, been doing a few of these. So I get into the deep stuff. Fitness IQ Cam goes, great question. Dr. Tachi. Hey, Dr. Tachi, you're going to have to watch the replay. She's the host and producer of the award-winning, well, I think it's award-winning, even though it hasn't received the official award, called Mediascope, the livest online show about media, tech, and pop culture.
Nice.
On 5 p.m. Wednesdays on Eastern time on IG, and then 6 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitch, and other platforms. And also, the 25th of this month, Indie Soup Media, her own network that she has created with over 30 plus creators.
Nice.
I just had another conversation. Not that my mind. I'm gonna just keep quiet. And I'm actually
too many thoughts.
Yeah, well, creative. So I always got to put them on the digital notepad. But yeah, so I'm actually contributing content with replays of this show, The Morning Vibe, and also Primetime Saturdays with Ishan Lawi on there. And plus, I sit on the what's the board? Advisory board. That's it. That's all. I was on the advisory board. Fatima also goes, it's sustainable for the family, for the future, and building of a healthy community. Again, also says another show again, Nicole. she's already building. He's already building content, and Dr. Tachi didn't catch it earlier, but she laughs about the Method Man. So if you go back to the beginning, there's a little story about Nicole and Method Man. You need to catch. You need to watch the.
We said that, like Nicole and Method Man, as though it sounds scintillating. I think people will come back first.
We cannot forget about Jody Watt,
and we will not forget about
Jody Watt. So next time they come on,
Karen White was your girl, though. Like
I met Karen White. Wow.
Yeah, Jody Watt.
Met her. Karen Watley, Jody White.
There you go.
Karen, that's tough. I'm not gonna go there.
She came to Toronto.
Oh, I met her. I have a picture in my archives of her. Like
He's holding back all the good stuff.
I know, right?
Yeah. So there's others, but we ain't gonna go there right now. But another question. Ray has this: as married people who have been together for a few decades. What do you think is your children's perspective on marriage? Whoa.
Wow. Why are they trying to make me feel so old, though?
You know, and it's funny. I
Decades.
I felt so old. Lord have
it's
mercy.
so funny because the after show, when they were on the first time, I said at the beginning of our conversation, they go, man, your people are serious. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
I'm just saying. You still have to answer the question. He's looking for an answer, by the way.
I'm gonna tell Ray, you just made me feel so old that I just almost crumbled into dust and blew away like Michael Jackson. Okay, that's how old you just made me feel.
There
A
you
few
go.
decades. Wow.
Remember the time. Remember the
I
time.
don't remember.
Oh my gosh.
I would say definitely again by creating an environment of just what they see as quote unquote being normal, right? Like it's very interesting that we laugh about it sometimes. When our children were younger, because they saw what they saw at home, they thought that all black families looked this way, right? So and then that theory got bunked where no, they're not all the same. But I think that our children definitely are growing up with that value of seeing, again, I always say the good, the bad, and the ugly around black marriage. So I think they definitely have an affinity for it. And what I love about for them, is that they're able to see, like, if we have a challenge, you're also able to see the repair. You know what I mean? And so I definitely think they have a value for it, because even when they speak, when we get married or whenever they talk about that, or even, when we become parents, right? So they speak in that particular way. So I definitely think that they have a high value for black marriage from what they've seen around, but they're also very balanced, because they have, friends and relatives that are not necessarily in the same type of relationship like Nicole and I, or their parents may be, right? So they've got that balance.
Yeah, and I think you have to be intentional about it, about what we're actually doing here in this relationship together. Because as much as we try to be a model for our kids, we've all been kids. We know we're not necessarily looking at our parents. We're looking at the TV. We're looking at our friends. We're looking at movies. So movies are giving my child something completely different than what we're giving them. So, when they were young, it was one thing, but their experience was so different than mine, because I grew up with just my mother, my mother and my sister, without a father. So my mother had to be intentional in telling me what marriage was about and in making it a desirable state to be in. My mother actively did that. Like, she would say, well, if I had a husband, this would be easier. Or if I had a partner, these bills would not be so much. Make sure that you have a partner. When you choose a partner, make sure it's this, that, and the other. Like, she actively spoke power into it, as opposed to only focusing on the fact that her marriage didn't work. The fact that her marriage didn't work did not mean that it was still not a desirable state, right? So
Right.
she has to take a lot of credit for this, because she constantly, reaffirmed that. So I do that for my children as well. I don't make them just see, well, we're here doing it, therefore it's just going to come to them naturally. We talk about marriage a lot. As they've gotten older, I talk to them about, what are you thinking about a partner? What do you think about this, that, the other? Or if we see something in a movie, I say, oh, that's nonsense, or that's not nonsense. What do you think about this? So it's constant communication about what marriage brings and what its benefits are. You have to market it and sell it like any other product.
Yeah. Movies are a great way to actually have this conversation with your children, because when things happen in movies, it's like, hey, we can talk about it. When you saw that happen with this couple or this relationship or whatnot, it's a great way to
Oh
actually
my
have this
gosh,
conversation.
it's fun. And there's 4 of them. We have 4 kids. So sometimes, and then we have my sister's 2 kids are also live with and around us. So it's really 6 of them together. And the conversations that they'll have on their own are incredible. Like, we'll just drop a seed or drop a bomb into the middle of it. Like, recently we watched Coming to America. If you want to get time, watch old movies with your kids, because they see something completely different And when we got to the ending, you know, when they like ride off in the cart, you know, the music's playing and the people are dancing and all of that. I remember I said, what do you think happened after that? Like, you think she had to go home and like hang up that dress somewhere, and now who's gonna clean up the palace or something like that? I said I was just being snarky. A whole argument ensued between the six of them, and then I think we just left. We just left down there arguing about, you know, gender roles and responsibilities. We just left them arguing about it for like the next 2 hours. But I'm like, this is what you want. You want them to see things, argue about things, solidify their positions, change their positions. It's beautiful.
Loving basketball.
Yeah.
God,
There you go. There you go.
All those
Oh,
movies.
Brown sugar. Yeah, you
watch
got
it with
watch them with your teenagers. Watch them and then duke out their shit.
Okay. So Macmillan Group goes, LOL, that certain was not my intention. I was referring to more to the experience. No problem.
Yeah.
And Dr. Tide says, Coming to America is my favorite.
Number one, though. Just number one.
Yes, the first one.
I
Yes.
don't have anything to say about number two.
All right. Fatima liked the question. I wasn't going to put this up, but I say she goes, hello, you could be grandparents, LOL.
Fatima, I'm going to be seeing you soon, you know.
You see, you know what's interesting? I know why she ditched off early. So she can make all these comments, not having to be on screen.
I get it. I'm done too. Sorry.
Don't leave me alone with him, please. I can't handle these questions on my own.
She goes, she finally says, have a great day. I got to go make money to afford my amazing life. Finally. So
yeah, you got automatic money, Fatima?
So this is 35 minutes after she told us she had to go.
There you go.
That's what she's like in real life too, you know, talking while Ron is waiting to leave. Even online, she's consistent.
All right. Jerry says, I met Method Man. Well, here goes the Method Man now again. I met Method Man while filming a movie here in Toronto, and Sam Jackson, speaking of Jungle Fever, walking solo in Eaton Center. And Method Man was part of a relationship arguments back in my day too.
There you go. Method Man doesn't know what kind of wreck he's causing up here in Toronto.
But I will say that Method Man is married, right? I'm breaking hearts out there, but he's been married for decades. He's been married as long as we've been married. Decades, you know. So I know his wife has to deal with everybody being about her man, but he's actually like a safe celebrity crush. Nothing gonna go on. He's a solidly married man. He just really satisfying eye candy.
All right. So Fatima says, yes, so true. Working at the same time, multi-purposing. There you go. Well, family, I'm going to let you go because Nicole's had notifications throughout this conversation. So it's okay. It's okay. But want to say huge thanks for, again, taking the time out of your own schedules, your together schedule, your family schedule, and your community schedule. And I have a feeling you're going to be back. I think I'm going to. I want you to be back. There's a lot of conversation there's lots of thoughts going on in my alleged mind. Any last words you want to share with the family today?
Definitely. Again, I want to shout out Jerry and Dika from Laz Authentic Cuisine. Great couple as well. I love the way they work together. If you think Nicole and I are funny, you know,
they are funny.
You got to see them. But anyways, definitely a shout out to them because it's great to see, you know, Black business out there and couples working together and successful, great restaurant. So that's where the event is going to be. The Black Marriage Day. Please come out, support. Even if you're not able to come, man, spread the word, you know, like put things.
There you go. There's the notification. There you go. It's okay. It's okay. Relax.
It's crazy busy. But definitely, you know, thank you again, Dr. Vibe, for having us on the show. Shout out to all our folks out there. And yeah, tune in.
Nicole, people may not realize, but Nicole is a wonderful comedian. Any events coming up in regards to the comedy stuff?
Oh my gosh, I got all kinds of things going on this month. I thought I was going to be able to step back a little bit because Black History Month basically just wore us out, all that, come and show us that you're Black money. But March. Let's see, what do we have coming up? Well, actually tonight,
Right.
if you want to get like a preview on the food at Laz Authentic Cuisine, we're going to be there tonight for an open mic. It's really just a social. You can come for $23, includes both admission and your drink. It's called the Friday Night Open Mic, and it's really just some people, whoever wants to come through, just come share a funny story, sing a song, share a poem, or just tell us about your day, right? That's just what it is, just some old time story talking. So that's going to be tonight at Laz Authentic Cuisine. You can get tickets for that at comedylicious.com. That's the website. It's a Comedylicious event, comedy, food together.
Yep.
So that's happening tonight. And then on Sunday, because we were talking about the frames. On Sunday, we're having a cups and glasses shopping and social at Scarpod Studio. And that's where you can come and see cups and glasses frames, as well as a couple of other vendors that you may want to come and check out and get a cup of tea and
Another notification.
pastries. And it's going to be really nice. It's from 2 to 2:30 to 5 o'clock. So if you want to come out and see some funky frames, maybe get a new pair of glasses or something else for yourself, you can find out about that at cupsandglasses.ca.
Go get some rest.
There you go.
Don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and give yourselves grace. Always a pleasure. You take care and keep the faith.
All right, brother.
Bye-bye. All right, family. Another epic conversation. You know what? We're going to have to bring them back. I have some ideas about some future conversations, but I want to say thank you to everybody who stopped by today. As always, another epic conversation on the Morning Vibe. So as we exit out, as always, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show via YouTube and hit the notification button. Also, like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. To advertise your business, product, or service on the platform, please email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And then finally, Ryan will be back with me on Monday. And speaking about Monday, on Monday coming back, we're going to be interviewing this gentleman. Oh, it's a funny, the blues really gone wild on us because this is a green writing. Just a gentleman named Morgan Campbell, My Fighting Family, Borders and Bloodlines and the Battles That Made Us. Morgan Campbell is a Canadian-based Black Canadian sports writer, and he has written a really great book. So I'm going to be doing some reading on the weekend of this book. So it showed up blue because that's a whole other conversation. But that's coming up on Monday. Also tomorrow night, Saturday evening, prime time, Saturday, prime time Saturday with Aisha and Lala, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. There's Ryan's contact information, website, Ryan Oneil Knight, LinkedIn, Ryan Oneil Knight, also Instagram, Ryan.Knight99, and email work with me at Ryan Oneil Knight. And then if you want to get a hold of me, website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and the Dr. Vibe Show, and also LinkedIn. You can watch replays too at all those platforms. And then Instagram at the drvibeshow, X at drvibeshow, and email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And there's all the replay stuff. Scroll on the bottom. Time to call it a conversation. So as always, I like to say, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Want to say thanks everyone for all your support. It's appreciated, not taken granted. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday with Morgan Campbell. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good.